Besides reducing the trade deficit with China, Trump also wants to eliminate the root cause of unfair trade, a structural change in trade, and, in a sense, how China runs its economy. Will China make those changes?
不会的，共产党政府呢又绝不会主动地减弱自己对社会的控制能力。
China's trade team is also divided. Can Liu He, China's vice premier, persuade Xi Jinping to make concessions?
刘鹤主和只是一个传闻，目前他表现出的妥协程度也是有限的。比如说在取消出口补贴这类事情上，他就没有退让。
China still depends too much on exports, which makes it vulnerable. Can China transform into a consumption-based economy?
Welcome to Zooming In. I'm Simone Gao. The US-China trade talks have gone through quite a few ups and downs and unexpected turns in the past 2 months. I remember hearing experts from both countries predicting how the trade war would never happen because both sides had too much to lose. It turned out they were wrong. The Trump administration is committed to making substantial changes in US-China trade relations. More importantly, they did not shy away from the root cause of unfair trade. That root cause is all about how the Chinese Communist regime runs its business. It's reflected in currency manipulation, import quotas, intellectual property theft, unfair subsidies to its state-owned enterprises, and many other areas. By pushing changes in these areas, I wonder if the Trump administration realizes that they might be doing the Chinese people a favor in the long run as well, because these changes are long overdue reforms that will actually benefit the private sector and average Chinese consumers instead of the rich and powerful who run the country. No doubt it will be hard. The way the Chinese Communist regime runs its economy is never just about economics. It's also a political issue, and it's about the stability and survival of communist rule. So far, there's been no sign that they are willing to change. But the gloomy prospect of a full-blown trade war and the impact on their regime's stability might force the party to make certain concessions. We discuss these questions in this episode of Zooming In.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross went to China earlier this month for the third round of high-level trade talks.
Secretary Ross, how close are we to a deal?
Mr. Ross also wanted to strike a deal, but that didn't happen. A week before, the White House renewed earlier threats to impose 25% tariffs on $50 billion in Chinese goods. That complicated Mr. Ross's mission to secure a settlement with Beijing. China offered to purchase nearly $70 billion of U.S. farm manufacturing and energy products, only if the Trump administration abandons the renewed tariffs. President Trump requested a $200 billion trade deficit reduction. This $70 billion offer would constitute a big portion of that. It also targets President Trump's base in the Farm Belt states. The energy products come from states like Pennsylvania and West Virginia, which are important for the midterm elections. However, the White House is reluctant to make that concession at this point. Larry Kudlow, the White House chief economic advisor, explained in a briefing that the trade tensions between the two countries is not just about soybeans and natural gas.
This is not a government to government. This is not the Chinese government buying a bunch of natural gas and soybeans from America. This is about reducing tariff rates and non-tariff barriers that will permit the increase in U.S. export sales to China. That's the actual mechanism. And I don't think that's been a clear point. It's an economic point. That's how you do it. And that represents structural change, important structural change. Now, as you know,
it represents structural change in the U.S.-China trade mechanism. But more importantly, it requests structural changes in China's economy. China's trade surplus is only one result of unfair trade between the two parties. The Trump administration seeks more than just reducing the surplus. It seeks to eliminate the cause of unfair trade. The causes include theft of intellectual property, forceful transfer of technology, tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers, such as restrictions in foreign investment and other discriminative regulations, as well as the Chinese government's unfair subsidies to its state-owned enterprises. None of these can be fixed by more soybeans and natural gas. If China makes changes in those areas, it would change how the communist regime runs its economy. Strategies such as subsidizing state-owned technological enterprises are at the core of Xi Jinping's Made in China 2025 initiative. These are not easy concessions for China to make.
The Trump administration's requirements demand a structural change to China's economy. How will these changes affect communist rule? Let's hear my discussion with senior political commentator Wen Zhao. 美国所要求的改变，例如涉及知识产权侵犯、强迫转移技术、进口配额限制、对国有科技企业的补贴、进一步开放市场、扩大美国的出口，这些要求需要中国做哪些经济结构方面的改变呢？还有就是这些改变又会如何作用于它的政治体制呢？
其实你上面所说的内容都包括在结构性的因素里面。就是中国它长期存在着巨额贸易顺差，它不是个别行业的竞争优势造成的，也不是一些季节性、临时性的因素所造成的，而是国家长时间持续的法律性、政策性的做法所带来的出口优势，像大规模的出口补贴、进口配额、不公平的关税税率、非自愿的知识产权转移，这些都是造成长期巨额贸易顺差的结构性原因。当然，这个结构性原因除了这些因素之外，还包括其他一些因素，比如政府决定着汇率掌握着一切市场要素的定价权，土地价格、劳动力价格。那么中共政府的这些能力呢，其实都能转化为它出口商品的低价格优势。贸易谈判最多只能触及其中个别的结构性原因，你像降低关税、取消进口配额这一类的因素。还是很难从根本上让双方的贸易体系变得平衡起来。只要中共政府是集权体制，它就享有这些优势；它要丧失了这些优势呢，就等于它不再是一个集权政府。
您觉得中共会做出这些改变吗？
不会的，它是可以降低一些进口商品的关税，承诺取消一些进口配额，也可以开放一些行业的投资限制。但是因为中共政府掌握着一切权力，掌握着国内的所有社会关系网络，所以它可以给你改变形式的设置阻碍。比如说奶粉，过去其实已经降低了奶粉的进口关税，但是中国的代理商和分销商们仍然遵照政府的意图，把进口奶粉的销售量保持在很低的比例，而且抬高它的价格，这样外国奶粉在中国市场的占有率仍然是很低的。也就是说呢，它虽然可以取消有形的海关，但是同时可以给你设置几个无形的海关。从理论上讲，中共政府在国内拥有对一切商品的最终定价权，这是其他国家的人很难想象的。因为中共政府它是这样性质的嘛，是这样一个集权政府，同时它对社会有那种深入到毛细血管的控制能力。因此，任何贸易谈判的成果，从根本上来讲都是暂时的，这种成果也是没有长期保障的。而共产党政府呢，又绝不会主动的减弱自己对社会的控制能力。
Coming up, China's leaders are divided on the trade war. Who will win? And will China fight to the end?
Whoever is more powerful is more likely to win a fight. It's also usually true that the person with less to lose will be more willing to fight. Let's hear what White House Director of Trade Policy, Peter Navarro, has to say about this in the Fox News interview from June 3rd.
I get that. I want to ask you about China because here's the headline of the morning in terms of China. I'm reading an article right now, and it says China says all trade progress is off if the U.S. imposes these tariffs. Are we willing to throw away the relationship that we have with China to push tariffs and restrictions on the country?
Well, let's look at the relationship we have with China. We have a $371 billion trade deficit in goods which basically ships off 2 million manufacturing jobs to China every year. That's not so good. We had General Mattis talking about the activity in the South China Sea with respect to China building up all their their artificial islands, and of course the big issue that we're fighting, the president is fighting with Ambassador Lighthizer, is this theft of our crown jewels of technology. They take our technology, Maria. Everybody knows they steal it, but they also force the transfer of it. They evade our export controls, and they're coming over here. The Chinese state-owned enterprise coming over here with bags full of money and buying up places like Silicon Valley. So that's a relationship with China that structurally needs to change. We'd love to have a peaceful and friendly relationship with China, but we also are standing firm on the idea.
Mr. Navarro represents the most hawkish view regarding the trade war with China. That's one side of the supposedly divided U.S. trade team. But media in the U.S. isn't paying attention to the possibility of an equally divided Chinese team. If they are also divided, how would that affect the trade talks?
Liu He is China's vice premier and a Politburo member. He is also an economist who holds an MBA from Harvard University. He serves as Xi's chief economic advisor and leads the Chinese team in U.S.-China trade negotiations. According to an Apple Daily article, Liu is in favor of making concessions to America. He believes a trade war will be disastrous to China and cannot be won. He gives 3 reasons. First, it is China who violated international trade rules and is responsible for intellectual property theft. It lost the moral ground from the very beginning. Secondly, China isn't able to engage in a full-blown trade war with the U.S. because it imports a relatively small amount of U.S. goods. China can only retaliate against the amount of U.S. goods exported to China. However, America is one of China's biggest export markets, and the U.S. could punish China to a larger degree. Thirdly, all imported Chinese products to the U.S. can be substituted. Some of them were produced by the U.S. originally, but a large portion of the goods imported from the U.S. are essential to China's economic lifeline. Proponents of the trade war are not clear. A general understanding is that party members, whose only education and training come from the Communist Party itself, tend to believe the Chinese Communist regime is invincible.
Can Liu He persuade Chinese President Xi Jinping? This is what Wen Zhao has to say. 刘鹤是习近平信赖的人，听说他主和，但是呢，美国的要求直接冲击到了习近平的2025计划，所以您觉得习近平他是什么想法呢？
刘鹤主和只是一个传闻，目前他表现出的妥协程度也是有限的。比如说在取消出口补贴这类事情上，他就没有退让。而在中共那个体制环境下呢，他作为中方谈判的牵头人我认为他也不可能对内提出建议，说全盘接受美方的要求，那样他会遭到政治对手的强烈攻击，对他自己来讲也有危险。所以我预计呢，只有当这个贸易战爆发持续一段时间，带来了相当损失之后，主张妥协的意见才会占据上风。习近平当然不想在那个中国制造2025计划上退让，因为那是他人生目标的重要组成部分。他希望在2030年前后，让中国大陆在军事和科技实力上有本质的提升。2050年左右呢，让中国大陆成为世界第1强国。那在他这个构想里面，中国制造2025计划占有重要的地位。所以，除非他蒙受了重大挫折，他觉得这个长期战略目标已经实现不了了，需要做出修正。否则的话，他那个2025中国制造计划，你让他妥协是很难做到的。
战或者是和对中国民众有什么影响呢？
这个贸易战如果打起来，由于美国的农产品成为制裁对象，那么会推高中国的消费者物价指数，比如大豆涨价，它会导致这个中国的食用油涨价，或者质量更差的食用油充斥市场，还有饲料涨价会导致肉类涨价等等，影响到人们的生活。如果这个贸易战范围扩大，上升到1500亿美元的规模，那么几乎就涵盖了美国对中国出口的全部商品，那包括一些中国比较难从别的供货方那里取得替代的商品。这样的话会给中国的经济造成实质的伤害。同时，中国那1500亿美元的商品呢，如果被关税挡在美国的市场之外呢，那中国的企业可能会考虑降价，把这些出口额转移到别的国家。 那就会给别的国家的市场造成冲击，从而带来连锁反应。总之，这个贸易战只要是500亿美元的规模对双方的伤害都还不是太大。但是如果扩大到1500亿，因为中国这边更依赖出口，它在美国这边损失的这个出口份额呢，它在别的国家那里不太容易弥补，所以会对中国造成的实质伤害大一些。但是如果能够避免这种情况这个贸易战不打，中国降低了它的进口商品关税，当然对中国的消费者有利。但是关税的降低并不意味着那个商品的最终零售价会降低，所以具体的效果也是要观察的。
Coming up, can China transform into a consumption-based economy?
One of the main reasons China is more vulnerable in a trade war is because China still depends too much on exports. Can China change this and transform into a consumption-driven economy? Let's see what's wrong with China's domestic consumption.
According to World Bank data from 2017, private consumption made up close to 70% of the U.S. GDP. In comparison, China's private consumption was only 39% of China's GDP. That leaves China near the bottom globally. Although it has improved 4% since 2010, it's not enough to support China's export-dependent economy. As China's wealth grows, Chinese consumers should have more to spend, but China is still far away from reaching 70% like the U.S., according to a report published by Southwestern School of Economics. Housing accounts for 68% of a Chinese family's wealth. In Beijing and Shanghai, it is as high as 85%. It suggests that much of Chinese consumers' wealth increase is tied up in fixed properties.
Can China morph into a consumption-oriented economy? Let's hear from Wen Zhao again. 一个简单的问题，中国的内需能够提振吗？
简单的说能。这些年中国国内消费在 GDP 里面所占的比例也一直在上升，但问题是呢，中国的内需它还不足以大到为政府定下的那个经济增长目标提供足够的支持。就是中国它存在着一些制度性原因，它制约着国内购买力继续扩大，比如社会保障还不健全，中国人需要比较高的个人储蓄来应付失业、生病这样的风险。同时教育资源分配也不平均，那中国的城镇居民他需要个人花很多钱为子女创造良好的教育条件，那么这些都抑制了消费。同时中国还存在着一些金融上的风险，像房地产泡沫呀、地方政府债务过重这些问题。这些风险一旦变成现实的危机的话，它也会让民众的财富蒙受重大损失。所以中国它要形成一个能够大到支持高速增长的国内消费市场，它还是有不小的距离的。目前政府主导的投资和外贸仍然是当局所依靠的。
The US-China trade war is an important event in our times. It means someone is finally addressing the elephant in the room before it's too late. Reinstalling order in the world economic system would not only benefit America, but also the rest of the world, including the Chinese people in the long run. In the Trump era, as White House Trade Policy Director Peter Navarro puts it, the days of accepting unfair trade practices are over. I hope that's true. He also said there will continue to be a strong need to cooperate on issues of mutual interest, including defending democracy and freedom against authoritarianism. We don't hear these words very often anymore, so I take it as a positive change. Thanks for watching Zooming In. I'm Simone Gao. See you next week.